do you think pasteurization does besides killing off all these, important little bugs?
Yep. Well, here's what pasteurization does. It goes from raw to 165, 170 degrees, or maybe 200 degrees, back down to a fully boiled at, let's say, 400 degrees or temperature, or 300 degree temperature. Very, very much cooked for good. It's non-allergenic as raw, becomes very allergenic as pasteurized, and then back to non-allergenic again in boiled. And I got that from an interesting slide from the International Genomics Consortium, who studied the allergenicity of pasteurization. They're finding this curve is horrible because what it does is it puts things into partial death. It doesn't completely sterilize. What it does is it denatures 2,500 different proteins, by the way, in raw milk. It denatures many of them, not all of them. It denatures many of the enzymes, but not all of them. And it kills most of the bacteria, but not all of them. So it goes like halfwaysies, as they say. It doesn't really get there all the way, where completely cooking and making it into a curd, or actually say like a pudding or something, would completely cook it. It doesn't do that. It goes halfway. And it was intended to do that because if you cook it all the way, you don't have milk anymore. So you take it up to a point to get a 5-log kill, a 100,000 reduction of the worst case scenario pathogen level. And in doing that, you also kill off all the beneficial bacteria. And what pasteurization actually does is it does what's called lysing. It takes a cell and breaks open the cell content and spills out the cell guts all over the place, and it's no longer a cell. So it breaks open the cell through heat. When that happens, the cell contents are not recognized by the body as something good.
You're saying there's cells in the milk.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What kind of cells are these?
You'll find epithelial cells, you'll find antibodies, you'll find bacterial cells, plenty of bacterial cells. And when they're pasteurized, they're broken open. And the proteins are denatured, they're all tangled up, they're no longer organized. They don't look like Legoland and everything organized. It's all a mess. It's just like tangled mess. And your body reacts to that. And some people are more severe than others. And there's a whole mucus response. Histamines are released. And your body says, wait a minute, get that dead stuff out of here. It's foreign to us, and causes an allergic response. And that's not to everybody. Not everybody has that, but there's quite a range of allergic responses, or just a reaction to get mucus going, to get the dead stuff out of the body. Now, what's interesting about that is it also makes it hard to digest, because remember that not everybody has a lactase persistent gene. And even those that do could really suffer. You could actually stimulate or simulate or propagate lactose intolerance in somebody by giving them a whole lot of antibiotics and even chemotherapy, by killing off the gut microflora, which that's what creates lactase. The lactobacillus is what makes lactase, and other lactose consuming bacteria make lactase. That's how they do that process in the gut. So, it's hard to digest on the pasteurized side. On the raw side, what you do is you're consuming raw milk, and you do it repetitively, and maybe with kefir, which has very, very high levels of bacteria because it's like a yogurt. What you're doing is you're repopulating the communities of bacteria that are missing. So you're recolonizing the gut so that when raw milk lactose comes along, the friendly bacteria down there that say, oh, I could digest you. I'm going to make myself some lactase, and no problem, because you've recolonized the gut with these beneficial bacteria, which do that job for you. But in America, after breastfeeding is done and you've taken your first few rounds of antibiotics, you start getting in trouble. And you're not eating a biologically diverse, enzyme-rich, whole, nutritionally dense food like raw milk that has the bacteria in it. You're eating something that's literally borderline sterile. The pasteurization process eliminates the beneficial bacteria, and they're all gone. There's a few heat-loving bacteria left, a few cold-loving bacteria, and they will grow over time, but they're actually quite toxic. You actually drink an old pasteurized dairy products, and you'll go, yeah, no, it's terrible. If you drink an old raw dairy product, it's actually quite sweet because it's actually biofermented. It's become its own ecosystem unto itself. It's trying to become cheese.